The Unit Standardization Special Feature webinar will cover the standardized units for each standardization type, how to manage the standardized units, and how to leverage the functionality for your events. To start, the Unit Standardization feature came about in RadResponder after the community expressed a need to be able to compare survey readings to one another based on a common unit if survey readings were recorded in a variety of different units. For example, comparing MR per hour to sieverts per hour. This makes data visualization and normalization for export clearer and more concise by the development of a standardized process for handling all data that comes with scientific units in RadResponder. The unit conversions are defined as a change of unit within a dimensionality or for a translation across dimensionalities. This feature was finalized in early 2020, and you can now standardize the raw value of surveys per radiation type into 3 separate values based on the common units specified on the event itself. And this includes assessment, monitoring, and standard international. We'll start by going over the standardized units and the default ones that are added to your events. So for each RadResponder event, the assessment, monitoring, and standard international standardized units are assigned by default. And these default standardized units can be found from the event details page under the standardized units section, which you can see highlighted in pink here. Once you expand the standardized units section, you will be able to see the standardization type, the measurement unit, and the measurement type. And for each standardization type, there are 6 measurement types: alpha, beta, beta gamma, gamma, gross, and neutron. So what this means is that for each standardization type, there are 6 measurement types. So right here, we're seeing the assessment standardization type, and the following are the default standardized units for each measurement type. So for alpha, beta, beta gamma, gamma, gross, and neutron, we have the default standardized units here. And same goes for the monitoring standardization type. Again, you have the measurement types of alpha, beta, beta gamma, gamma, gross, neutron, and the corresponding default standardized units. And for the standard international standardization type, the following are the default standardized units for each measurement type. Now, we went over the default units for each standardization type and measurement. However, you can manage these standardized units. Within the event details page under the standardized units table, you can click the Manage button, and this will only be available to you if you have the event manager role or greater permissions. Once you click Manage, you'll then be presented with a modal here for you to change the units per measurement and standardization type. So as you can see, we have, again, those 6 radiation types of alpha, beta, gamma, neutron, gross, and beta gamma, and the assessment, monitoring, and standard international standardized types for you to change the units. Once you choose the unit from the dropdown, you'll just click Save when you are done, and you can do this for all 6 of the radiation types and all 3 of the standardized types. Please note that once you change the standardized units after surveys have already been entered into the event, those surveys will be recalculated. So now once you've had your default, or whether you edited those standardization types and units, now you can leverage this functionality by viewing them within your data tables. So for example, from the surveys data page in your event, by default, you can see the raw value and unit of the corresponding readings. What I'm seeing here is 2.98 MR per hour, 42 MR per hour, 55 microR per hour, etc. And I can choose to show the standardized units and values alongside those raw values and units through the Choose Visible Columns option. So I'm going to click Choose Visible Columns, and I will now see new options for me to display in my table. So for example, the value and units of the standardized monitoring, standardized assessment, and standardized international. For demo purposes, I'm only going to display the value and units of the standardized international. And I can now see the standardized units and values alongside my raw value and unit of each reading as it was entered. So for example, here I'm seeing all of my MR per hour, R per hour, microR per hour units converted into the sieverts per hour, which is the standardized international unit. Once you display the standardized units, you can filter readings by value, which you could not do previously. So this allows us to have a common set of data that we're operating under. So you would expand the filters menu and then scroll down to where the filter says standardization unit, minimum value, and maximum value. And this is where you can filter. You'll select the standardization unit, again, from this whole list of units, so counts per second, sieverts per hour, MR per hour, etc. And then you can enter the values for the minimum value and the maximum value if you want to filter your data within that range. These are the parameters I'm applying. And now you can see that the sievert per hour standardized unit from the range of 2 to 6 sieverts per hour is as follows. So only 5 entries out of the 3,400 plus entries meet this criteria. You can also open the details of any one of your readings to view the standardized unit conversions for that reading. So instead of viewing it all in a tabular format, you can view the details of a single reading in one place. As always within RadResponder, whenever you see that blue magnifying glass, that means you can view more details. So I'll open that up. And from the surveys details page, I'll scroll down and expand the standardized units section. So from here, I can see the unit types. So standardized, international, monitoring, assessment, the measurement type, the value, and the measurement unit. Now, a question that we've had come up is if it's dose versus exposure rate, those aren't a one-to-one conversion. And so the translation and conversion equations that RadResponder uses comes from DOE and FIRMAC. So if you specify a unit that we cannot convert, such as flow converting to time, it will show as being null. However, we do take the other information into consideration that's associated with your reading. So for example, probe efficiency, probe area, in order to translate or convert those units from one another. If you have any questions on this feature or any RadResponder features in general, please email us at support@radresponder.net. And the slide deck and the video will be available in the resource library as well.